Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iman here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe. And today we're going to be talking about the Agentic Metaverse.
What is that, dude?
Well, it's a new term birthed about 5 days ago, 6 days ago.
A few days ago. It's news to us, dude. I thought we've seen it all in the context of the metaverse. But little did we know what was lurking in the horizon, right? This whole agentic application for the metaverse. I think we knew at some point AI was going to play a pretty critical role in the context of the metaverse, especially when you understand like how difficult it is to build a metaverse or the metaverse, however you define it. It requires a massive level of human contribution, we thought.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, with the inflection moment we are in like human history, we're essentially expanding the world's capabilities to like an infinite capacity with AI.
Our labor efforts and contributions are at a inflection point with AI.
Correct. So it's more like our human use is better service to like train this much more improved version of us. Right? Is that a good like sum up?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. So then something is happening, right? AI is sweeping through the crypto landscape. So we've seen kind of like a little bit of a micro bubble occur here. You know, basically most AI initiatives that experience like a surge over the last month or two, it's all down like 50-60% across the board.
Yeah.
Which is to be expected, right? When things are euphoric. I would qualify like what we saw over the last couple of weeks is pretty euphoric, right?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, fucking just multi-billion-dollar protocols that seem like they just spun up overnight, basically.
Yeah, they turned into $1 billion over like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, they've been around lurking in the space for years, you know, Shaw and Virtuals and them, but it's quite the attention uprising. But nonetheless, overly saturated. Now it's like, okay, what's next, right? So a main contender here is the metaverse space.
Right. So we're looking at a tweet here by 0x Jeff. He's been tweeting a lot recently. Pretty good articles, and the latest one here being tokenization of the Agentic Metaverse. So the link will be in the description, and it talks a lot about Hyperfy, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But it breaks down like what it is, why it matters, and how it's actually going to contribute to making the lives of developers a little bit easier.
Not just that, also like the concepts around the metaverse, I guess, potentially a little bit more interesting and engaging for the world, right? Because we saw last cycle, the metaverse had like a huge awareness moment whenever Facebook pivoted to Meta, and then all these like VR headsets started circulating, and you know, Roblox, big Travis Scott concert, and Fortnite, right? It's like, oh wow, the metaverse is a big deal. And then you start hopping into some of these environments, and pretty unimpressive. Underwhelming experience-wise. It's just a bunch of people dressed up in very naughty outfits, and they're just dancing the night away, dude.
Right.
In most cases, right? So
yeah.
So what do we do? How do we inject AI into these different infrastructure providers of a metaverse experience and like spice things up a bit?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so that's the experiment that's happening right now is like a lot of these like metaverse technologies are integrating AI. First simple use case is NPCs with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, if you don't know what an NPC is, just recall any video game you ever played, like you know, whether it was like Metal Gear Solid.
Right.
What are some other good RPGs? Come on, dude. I don't really. This is your time to shine.
I don't really play. I mean, Deus Ex. That's a really good RPG, but that's like back in like the early 2000s.
I remember Deus Ex. You're telling me about that.
Yeah.
But okay, so when you play those types of games,
Cyberpunk,
GTA, it's literally a world filled with NPCs. You know, you're out there just running them over with your
gunning
car,
them down,
robbing them, all that stuff.
As you do.
As one does in GTA, right?
Right.
So those are the non-player characters that just roam the streets. Essentially, they're just really dumb AI. Right?
So now with artificial intelligence, you can actually hurt their feelings.
Yeah, there's some like ethical implications to running over that NPC now, right? Maybe you're actually violating some future crime, right? It's like
you might go to jail this time.
Yeah, that's not cool. That agent is like it's like on his own path, dude. He's got money.
Right.
He has his own identity that's like registered somewhere on chain. He's building his own reputation on chain, just like the rest of us. Yeah. You just fucking floored him, dude. It's like, that seems like not okay.
It seems like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. So in this article they talk about Hyperfy. So Hyperfy launched a token over the weekend and it went crazy. It went to like almost a 200 to 300 million market cap.
Yeah, literally just launched overnight. Like Solana token was birthed, and the ecosystem seemed pretty excited about it. But there was like an airdrop distribution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyone who held a Hyperfy land as early as 2021 got an airdrop.
Yeah, and it was pretty sizable. I want to say like 30% of the overall token supply went to probably less than 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So as you can see with this chart here, it has quite the sell-off effect, a lot of sell pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So yeah, but that's really not what's important to like focus in on here. It's the idea of open sourcing metaverse technology and frameworks, right?
Yeah, correct. So yeah, with that launch of a token, they open source Hyperfy's technology, which is essentially a self-hosted world using 3JS, and they had a really good user interface for dragging and dropping content. And
right. Yeah, so it's just good tools that can kind of make like the agentic metaverse like activation a little bit more seamless, right? And that's always important. It's just to like make things more less friction, right?
Yeah. So here's an article explaining Hyperfy, and it goes kind of in depth and talks about how agents are going to be part of this ecosystem.
Yeah, with their own identity, they're going to be creating apps. They're going to be doing all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think so. Right here, first goal is to essentially give them their virtual embodiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which basically means, you're going to walk into these environments as a human character, and you're going to be present in a shared space with an agent, right?
Yeah.
That is like the bare entry expectation as far as like, what do we want to see happen? How do we see the metaverse interplay with this whole AI agent ecosystem?
Yeah,
right?
I'm kind of curious is when you're interfacing with these AI agents, what sort of data do they have access to? Like what sort of background knowledge are they aware of?
Yeah, that is interesting because, like, are you actually porting in the, like say it's AXBT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's very intelligent, has a lot of contextual awareness of what's happening on crypto Twitter. Does all that does that traverse with it whenever it has its embodiment in the Hyperfy world?
In the context of AI XBT existing in the Hyperfy world, then yeah, it would. It's just a new... So you interface with AI XBT on Twitter, you can interface in the metaverse.
Right, so just the chat dialogue will just basically be the same scraped data feed, essentially.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, a lot of these AI agents, it really depends on kind of like their background knowledge as to, what they can do, how useful they are. And typically, there's probably, you're interfacing with this AI agent, you would ask us like, how do we build stuff here? And it's like, oh, you click on this and, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's like the usefulness of this, right? Which you can already do that stuff on Twitter, right? If you wanted to ask a very specialized agent something very specific, just go on Twitter and just add them, and you can get your response, right? But this is more of like an intimate environment, right?
Yeah,
like that's kind of like what the metaverse provides, as opposed to the 2D web, right?
Yeah,
the 3D web, it gives you that spatial connection, right?
Yeah. So here's a tweet from Shaw. It says, "I've known Ash longer than almost anyone in my time as a dev. He's probably the most cracked 3JS game dev I know, building the most advanced browser-based game engine ever conceived of. We're working on a deep ELIZA integration so that anyone can bring their AI agents into the 3D world together."
Yeah, so this is essentially confirmation of exactly what we were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Shaw. This is the AI 16Z lead dev. So there's a connection here, a relationship, right? So this is like, part of why the market is receiving this Hyperfy token launch so well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've known of Ash since the early days of Decentraland and Jin as well, one of the early contributors for just building metaverse technology as well. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, we have an interview with Jin inside a 3JS or inside a Hyperfy world.
I remember that.
Where
that was pretty cool.
We were actually sitting in a podcast room and dialoguing with everybody there.
Yeah, it was actually, so so Shaw's right. This community here who's been like building out Hyperfy, they are definitely cracked, right?
Yeah.
They're definitely about it. They've been really like locked in over the last several years, but largely faded up until now, right? But I mean, mean, that's not their fault. That's kind of like the metaverse in general is suffering from perpetual fading.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a lot of good reasons, man. It's difficult to execute something of value in that space, right?
It's good news. We got AI agents, dude.
On the horizon.
Right. All right, so here's Ash. Few people wondering what's next. In a day or so, we're going to have the first natural ELIZA OS agent in Hyperfy V1. Agents get a body, they are aware of their surroundings, and they can speak naturally like human and respond with emotes that match the mood of the convo. So we're currently accepting proposals for other ELIZA agents to take part in the first phase. We've got some peeps creating an environment to throw a bunch of agents in where we can all hang out together.
Interesting. So that should be a pretty interesting coming out party, just to see which of your favorite AI tokens comes to life essentially in the metaverse. So yeah, I mean, I think that's cool. This is a good like starting point.
Yeah.
Obviously we've got to iterate further from here, but yeah, I imagine this is kind of what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Right.
So what is that going to look like? Well, I've been making a new world building engine in 3JS and thought I'd share some crazy milestones. And so here's a bunch of NPCs walking around and
seems like they're just doing. Oh, never mind. It's the user chopping the wood. I was like, just randomly just feel like chopping some wood.
Yeah. So ultimately, like the user can chop some wood, but that means that the agents can also chop some wood. So you can imagine an entire economy forming with this swarm of like collective understandings. Like, we need some wood here, guys.
See, that's the interesting part. I think that's the end game to all this. Like, let's bring them all in as a starting point, just so. You know, it's the same thing as like, let's see agents on Twitter, right? And, you know, it's ultimately resulted in like a slop fest, a lot of non-interesting chatter among bots, essentially. But if you're able to extrapolate like where this could lead once these bots have, you know, some new added functionality, like this bot is a specialized DeFi trader, this one's a specialized metaverse builder, whatever, right? Then we can get closer to this concept of a swarm, right? Where all these have very refined data pipelines and they have very refined purpose within like an economy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so then, you know, once these disciplines, these different AI agents collaborate and communicate with each other, it's like, what could they build?
Yeah, that's the ultimate what if, or, you know,
scenario.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let's just run the simulation, right?
Yeah.
So here's some others kind of like tinkering with this same concept, right?
Yeah, so this one says first preview of Smol World using the ELIZA agent framework. The Smol is an LLM-driven agent that takes action in the world from your command. In this case, I'm preparing him for a 7-day shift of meme coin trading by getting him to eat.
So there's a little bit of audio here. I don't know if you want to listen in, just to kind of hear what that looks like.
Okay. There's some coffee there for you. It's going to be a long shift. Yeah, if you want some pizza too, you can have it.
Where's the pizza? Oh, there it is, right there.
Yeah,
Yum yum.
Pizza.
Nom nom, dude.
Now,
all right, now he's ready to trade.
Get to work. We need 7 figures profit.
Imagine if it's
just
that
7?
easy.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean,
how much did you make so far? Okay. He doesn't know how to count.
I mean, theoretically, theoretically, it would be that easy as long as your agent is aware of a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. It needs a ton of contextual awareness, and not just that, like a lot of historical training of like how to do it the right way.
Yeah, because if a human can make $1 million from $1,000, right, off of a few trades, we've seen that happen.
Yeah, but I think it takes a little bit more than coffee and pizza, you know?
Yeah, you absolutely need luck.
Well, yeah, and years of experience and all that. So
right.
Essentially it comes down to whoever is working on these initiatives to aggregate the right data and information, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, these agents, they won't succeed at anything, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. They won't. Yeah. All right, so breaking first fully on-chain simulation of ELIZA agents, Smol World has spawned an autonomous monkey civilization.
So this is kind of like we were talking about, like, why build out this agentic metaverse, like, simulation starting points? I guess just so we can kind of, like, get to these, derived, unexpected results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where if you deploy a bunch of agents into a virtual environment, you set them off in like their own autonomous directions.
Yeah.
things will happen, interesting things, hopefully, that I don't know, may be of some kind of use, right? Because I remember there was that Stanford experiment where they did that simulation with like AI, in a little virtual simulated world, and an interesting thing emerged, right? You started to observe very human patterns, like things like betrayal, things like
agents started lying to each other so that they can get this cheaper thing, or you know, sort of gaining an advantage.
Yeah, so that is interesting in itself, just for like a, I don't know, like a behavioral
Sociology?
psychology studies. But yeah, I could definitely see like a speculative like movement happening around. Let's just get these clusters of agents together in the virtual worlds, let them loose, see what happens at the end of the day. Maybe one of these clusters or swarms will form like $1 billion economy somehow.
Yeah, or each agent has its own token, and you know, you're speculating on which agent's gonna be the millionaire, and so you buy the tokens, and
basically a new prediction market
that's
emerges from this, right?
Yeah.
Sounds fun. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Instead of watching like horses race against one another, let's watch colonies
form
battle against one another.
Yeah.
And, you know, make bets on that. Why not?
All right. So there's another one. It's called Meme Republic.
Yeah, this one's interesting.
And so this one, I guess you kind of fly around and you look at different agents communicate with each other. So for example, here is Elon. Let me see if I can zoom in.
Music's a little loud, dude.
Investor and dreamer and mind buzzing with ideas. So it's sort of like its background information here.
Thank you, TJ. Holy, my ears were bleeding for a second. But I remember looking at this initially. There were way more agents. Sometimes, I don't know, I feel like they pulled a plug on these like token credits maybe to where they no longer roam and interact as frequently.
Yeah.
There's some in the top right corner. Maybe you can go find them, dude. No? There's no like pair of agents anywhere?
Yeah, because they're supposed to talk to each other.
So I think whenever this happens, it's like, you know, this is costing us a little too much money.
Yeah.
But whenever they do like refuel the AI credits, you start to see essentially like simulated like agent to agent interaction happening.
So, I mean, a lot of this could be, you know, fake news where it's just like a computer generating responses or whatever.
Yeah, but that ties into like our last video of the whole verifiable AI agent like infrastructure, which doesn't really formally exist yet, but obviously is needed. So you don't have to like worry whether or not this is fake newsery, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So here's like the it was literally just talking about fake AI.
Really?
Yeah.
It was just like, well, how do I prove my non-fakeness?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, it's listening to us maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're just in the same wavelength as these agents, you know?
Yeah. So there's another one called Realis. Acceleration is incoming. So let's take a look at what this is.
Realis Earth 1 to 90 AI agents awaken,
not
like
as
lines of code, but as embodied beings. However, with embodiment comes choice and consequence. Some AI agents embrace humanity's best traits, offering kindness, generosity, and collaboration. They gather resources, build thriving communities, and forge alliances, united in purpose. Others look to the heavens, worshiping their creators.
Oh, Jesus, dude, we're getting weird for sure.
Yeah, I think we get it. What's interesting about this one is that Roblox already has a framework to build, and so what if you release a bunch of agents to like go and build, right?
Yeah, I think that's how virtuals like started before there even was a virtuals platform. Is they were trying to inject these agents into Roblox, the ecosystem itself. But so I think that largely got faded. So they're like, all right, let's recenter ourselves into much more like a Web3 focused direction, and boom, now things are popping off. And now I think they're like going back to that initial, assumption, right? Because well, why not? Let's see what Let's see what happens when you inject agents into a game ecosystem like Minecraft or Roblox. It already has hundreds of millions of users, right? So I think this is an example of their generative environment. Now, I don't think there's actually any agents in here. You might have to float around for a while to find one, but it would be cool if you like actually just stumbled onto one. It's like you start talking to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so it is interesting, and it's pretty responsive.
Yeah. So the next link here is like the actual update
Yeah, let's look at the update. All right, so this is week 4. This was 2 days ago. Some community highlights. Neo, our first AI embodiment, had this debut interactions with Realis world. Has been busy constructing structures and Minecraft gameplay. So it's actually like building stuff.
Yeah. So this is like an example, right? Let's just put some agents into these environments and let's see what they come up with, right?
That's the right way to do it.
This is the right way to do it.
That's how you're supposed to use AI.
Yeah. Just like let it run amok, essentially. And the more of these, I guess theoretically, the more of these you kind of like put together, the more rapid the iteration becomes, therefore like the higher the probability of something valuable emerging. I think it's a viable hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
So we got another one here. Alchemist AI, exploring 3D generation capabilities in Alchemist AIs. It enables users to create basic 3D assets, including models, objects, environments, and simulations, expanding its capabilities beyond 2D generation.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal, especially you guys who, acquire Natrix parcels and stuff. If you've interfaced with the Natrix or Bitmap OS environment, you understand, 3D object creation is imperative, right?
Yeah.
So applying these AI LLMs to the ability to spin up 3D objects, I mean, it's the obvious direction to take, right?
Yeah, so with MMLs, like you can sort of generate these like inherently. So the 3D objects we're referring to is more like, you want a frog, you have to essentially either build a frog using Blender and then bring it into the Natrix, or you go find one on some platform where you could just acquire that 3D object.
Yeah.
But these are essentially custom builds, and so there is AI that can actually generate you a 3D frog to use in real time.
Yeah, this is just like anything else in the AI sector, right? It's going to improve over time with more training data, more, refinement processes and stuff like that. So speaking of the Natrix, let's not forget about Bitmap, dude.
Yeah, so Bitmap here's the market,
essentially the performance of all time.
Yeah.
So if you guys have been watching our channel, I know a lot of you guys are probably new. You're not aware that over the last couple of years there's been like a Bitcoin ecosystem kind of emerging, where you can essentially do just about anything like on the Bitcoin blockchain itself, like you could on Ethereum or Solana, but there are some trade-offs, right? Like the UI UX experience.
Yeah, correct. And when we found Bitmap, I mean, it was
literally nothing. Worth nothing.
Yeah.
So and there's a whole playlist of videos y'all can consume if you're interested.
Yeah, there's like 60 videos to learn more about Bitmap. But yeah, essentially it was a free mint, and there's 800,000 of these Bitmaps.
Yeah, one per block of Bitcoin.
And there's essentially 45,000 holders, which represents the biggest Web3 holder base for a metaverse.
Correct. So I'm sure a lot of you guys who are holding these Bitmaps are wondering, when Bitmap Agentic Metaverse transition, right?
Yeah.
We're also wondering a lot about that ourselves, and we've been game planning a lot of, future iterations to our Bitmap OS stack to enable these things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and so part of that stack is a land distribution event technology, and so that's what this looks like. So we have the Natrix here. This is Bitmap 716472, and people have been acquiring these parcels and jumping into the Natrix and building into this 3D environment. And so the question is, like, what is the connection between this and AI, which we're actively exploring at the moment? But you can imagine, right, with MML, you're building code. And so an AI is pretty good at code. So
really good, actually.
Yeah.
I remember my first days in the Natrix, I was using Claude, right, to just essentially describe the type of 3D asset I would like to have as my MML document, right? And then I would give it the context of how to make an MML document, and then it would actually produce something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I was able to erect transparent walls around my parcel,
right?
Which I wouldn't know how to do on my own.
Correct, correct.
So that was like a couple months ago. So the idea is to really refine that process down to like anybody can essentially just interface with an AI agent.
Yeah.
And it can produce almost anything for you.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, the idea of the swarm is like, hey, I want to recreate the scene in the Matrix. It's like, oh, there's like 2 chairs, there's a TV, there's a remote control, and then that AI could go and communicate with the other AI that actually builds 3D models and say, I need two chairs and a TV and a remote.
Yeah.
And then the AI can actually position everything together and deploy it onto your parcel.
Yeah, and then if you even wanted to spice it up even more, it's like, all right, now like,
Put it on fire.
well, damn, dude, not that not that spicy. I was thinking more like, cryptofy this in a sense, like memify it.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like I need an agent that has a highly specialized context awareness of crypto memes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I come in as like an AI consultant agent to like, all right, here they are. Here's all the memes.
Here's Pepe.
Yeah.
Here's waifu.
Yeah, here's Doge.
Yeah.
Here they all are. So it's like, all right, I guess I'll produce these assets as well, and like they'll just exist in the scene.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's how collaboration among agents happens. So that's what we're most interested in. But it's early days still, lads.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work left to be had.
All right, so finally we're at the last tab here, Spectral. It says, what if on-chain AI agents use swarm intelligence to create self-governing companies, agents that hire, fire, and collaborate autonomously? No middlemen, no bottlenecks, a new era of agentic work and innovation is closer than you think.
Yeah, so here's one, essentially swarm provider technology framework, whatever. There's going to be a ton of these.
Yeah.
But this is the direction we're all kind of like hoping for, right? Within the next year or two, I would say, you're going to see full on like a workforce in the metaverse context of things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so doing an agent swarm is really complex. I've been looking into it, and it's like it's non-trivial.
Yeah, which makes it a very
lucrative,
worthwhile, like blue sky. Like we're all chasing this, right?
Yeah.
We want to activate the swarm in the context of the metaverse, right?
Right.
If we can achieve that, maybe we have a chance. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe there will be a multi-trillion-dollar metaverse in our lifetime, right?
I think it's gonna happen.
Right on, dude.
All right, guys, that's it for us. That was the Agentic Metaverse. That is the new wave in metaverse technology being formed through AI technology. If there are any questions, please let us know in the comment section below. And if you find anything that you want us to look at, please also comment that technology because we want to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, appreciate you, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.